Our first speaker is Katie Elenberger, founder and creative brand strategist at Spark 27 Creative. Katie excels at developing comprehensive solutions through strategy, design, and messaging that cuts through the clutter and connects with target audiences. Critical design thinking and dedication to developing high-quality, strong concepts have earned her and her company 29 Addy Awards for design. Katie has served on the board of directors for Lake Region Arts Council, is a past executive director of the American Advertising Federation of District 8, as well as past president and board member of the American Advertising Federation of North Dakota. Welcome, Katie.
So I'm here to talk to you today about authentic branding. Spark 27, I'm the founder and creative brand strategist, as she said, of Spark 27 Creative, and we do a full service design agency that really focuses on humanizing brands across every medium. And I am 100% women-owned, women-led, and WeBank certified because, you know, I think it's important to be, you know, women-owned certified as well, but also I'm just really proud of it as well. So that is what we are at Spark 27, and I'm going to talk to you today about authentic branding and how to make decisions based on who you are as a brand and not just what everybody else is doing. And I think it's important to talk about authentic branding and humanizing your brand so that you can eliminate things like imposter syndrome. I think that it's so crucial and so important as a women-owned business to be inspired by leaders and not intimidated, to pull back the veils of the different businesses and really just get at the heart of who you are and what you're doing in the world and how you can make an impact. I think there's the statement about that every entrepreneur maybe would say, don't take the path I took, but somehow we all got to where we are. So make sure that you're turning those kinds of mistakes into stepping stones to build your brand and to build your authentic brand. So that you can really turn your clients into repeat customers and brand evangelists and attract new clients that are just perfect fit for your business. So I've had over 18 years of experience in customized branding solutions, and I have quite a few proven strategies on how to build authentic brands and how to stand out in your market. And I'm going to talk about 5 specific strategies with you today. So strategy 1, and it's not clicking. So that's not really good when you're in the middle of a virtual summit, when you're sharing your screen and your slides aren't going. So there we go. Strategy 1, understanding and only speaking to your ideal client. Defining your target market is one of the first steps in understanding and only speaking to your ideal client. Defining your target market is who are you currently serving and who is your ideal client? And who is your absolute favorite client and why? I think it's a really good process to go through and define, like, okay, that was my favorite client, or these are the characteristics of my favorite client in past or in future, and start really just communicating about that and speaking directly to that target audience and target market. And I think also importantly, when you're defining the target audience, is if you're feeling like you're saying, well, everyone's my target audience. Well, I would venture to bet that not everyone is, and that there is somebody that you can define that isn't your ideal client. Sometimes it's hard because I feel like we want to make sure that we're helping every business that we can, but some people just maybe aren't the best fit for the service that you're offering. So that's okay that you can help them in other ways. You can mentor them, you can do other things in your business, but defining who your ideal target audience is a crucial step in speaking to that ideal client. Another step for speaking to your ideal client is doing a user persona. So giving them a name. One tip I have for that is once you've given your ideal client a name, and you've gone through things like, what do they like? What are their age? What is their gender? You know, are they female 28 to 34 that are entrepreneurs and they maybe have 2 kids at home, and what's their ultimate goals? You start defining these things about what they have and what they need and what they want. How are they finding you? Are they finding you on computer, desktop, or are they finding you only on mobile? What are their pain points? What are they frustrated by? And what do they find difficult? And how can you write directly to them? So that tip about giving them a name, and putting it on the post-it note, putting it on your computer. So anytime you're writing any content, any blog post, any social media post, you are writing directly to that target person, that target audience, and not just trying to put your message out to everybody, but really speaking specifically to your target audience. A few other questions that you can do when you use your persona is, are they fast or slow decision makers? Are the decisions made on facts or emotions? How can you reach them at those pain points and speak directly to the things that they need? Another thing for speaking to your ideal client is a user story. So who are we building it for? What is the intention, and why does it have value? So I think a phrase that you can do is, as a blank, I want to blank so that I can blank. So as a designer, I want to build strong and creative, bold brands so that I can impact small to medium-sized businesses. What are those types of things for your client and for you that you can create this user story? The user scenario or the user journey is, how does that persona behave in a sequence? And key messages, so crucial. Target every one of these, every single piece of content, from social to email blasts to blog posts, all of that content marketing, target it to that target audience so you're attracting the right people to your business. Define and communicate what makes you stand out and where your values shine, so it doesn't come down to comparing prices, but really letting you showcase what you do best. That way you're not reinventing the wheel for generating new branded content every single time, but you can take these pieces of your brand and creatively showcase them in multiple ways across every medium. And then determine your goals for all of your content and all of your audience, and then do an audit. So what are you currently doing, and how are your messages currently portrayed? And I find your most honest friend you have in the bunch and send them everything, like a sampling of what you have, and be like, I need your honest answers. Like, is this reaching this particular audience? Or take a focus group of your current target audience and really speak to them and be like, hey, these are the messaging that I'm going to roll out. How do you think how does this make you feel? How are these images relating to you? Are you getting what we're trying to convey? So that's why it's just so important to always speak to your ideal client. Strategy 2 is infusing personality into your brand. I think that sometimes as an entrepreneur, especially when you're starting out, you can try to be, you want to be so professional that you end up being like a little stuffy. So how can you show off your unique personality and really let it showcase throughout your brand and your brand experience? I think we all know, or maybe we have forgotten, those forgettable brands or your competitors that they just aren't standing out in the crowd, and they're not standing out in a unique way. How can you change that up for you? And how can the things that you produce make you say, like, wow, I wish I could have done that? Or if you see something like that, of like, that knocked my socks off, right? Like, what was it about that brand that you loved? How can you analyze that? How can you bring what you were uniquely made to do, or why you are uniquely you, into your brand? Did it use bold word choices? Did it tell you the who, what, why, when, and where in that 60 seconds of your website? Do you get immediately what you're trying to convey by adding some fun and some personality into your brand? Was it the visual or digital elements that you made a whole package and made the brand really feel complete? So I think it's just like really safe to be like, don't play it safe, because there's everybody out there that can play it safe. So how can you build your brand in a bold and confident way that your perfect target audience comes along with you? So you can still be professional. I'm not saying don't be professional, but you can still be professional, but you can have a little fun, and you can really relate and connect to your audience. And I think that all leads to being memorable, and you can do something just truly authentically you and build your authentic brand. A friend, a good example here is like a friend of mine who now actually even became a client 3 years later. You never know when those clients are going to speak up, but in my network, he called me a heat-seeking missile that goes after what she wants, wrapped in a bundle of joy. And I think that that's like a perfect example of what I want to convey and how I'm building my own authentic brand. Like I go after what I want, and my clients see it, and my network sees it, and then they can become clients. You never know where your clients are going to come from. But then wrapped in that bundle of joy, like I want my clients to feel the spark of energy and my excitement for their brands as we're working on them. Strategy 3 is cohesive and consistent. So being fun and having personality, it's so important. And one of the biggest crucial things is to be cohesive and consistent in your brand and across every medium. So it's one of my favorite things. Like, how can you really develop a visually exciting brand so that when people come to your website, they get an email in their inbox from you, they're on your social media, everything feels very much your brand and authentically you and your brand. And so it just really helps bring this brand awareness, but still brings visual intrigue. Your brand is so much more than a logo. It is not everybody. I think that's like a misconception out there, and maybe you lady bosses are already on top of it, and that would be awesome. I would love to hear that. Your brand is not just your logo, it's your entire experience. And you might even get sick of your logo before anybody else does. So how can you infuse that personality, and how can you bring visual exciting elements and strong and bold content into your brand that it keeps it exciting on every platform? From everything, from messaging to visual to everything. Just making sure that you're staying relevant and fresh and authentic. One thing that I really love to do when I'm building a brand, especially in the being cohesive and consistent and personality and wrapping it all together, is I love asking, what are 5 descriptive words that you feel describe your brand? Is it contemporary? Is it fresh? Is it down to earth? Is it fun? Is it warm? What are those 5 descriptive words that are so authentically you that when you're building visual elements, you can always have that easy list to reference, and have it just ready to, if you're building the social media, you're building your logo, you're building all these things, and it's just that quick reference guide of those 5 words to make sure that you're really resonating with that target audience and really showcasing who you are and what you want your brand to be. Strategy 4 is deliver a brand experience. So on top of that, more than being just a logo, what can you do for your client to fall in love with your brand? What experience do they have when they interact with you? When they interact with you on social media, when they interact with you in person, how can you bring all the excitement of what you do to your services and to your offerings? Or are there things that you can do like surprise and delight? Can you do unique gifting or promotions? I want to touch on promotions a little bit because I think everybody's like, oh, I want to hand out hats, or I want to get the Yeti water cooler bottles, and I want to do all these different things in terms of promotion. But really, like, what is that idea that you're working with? Like, I do fueled by bold ideas, and it's more that brand or that element or that campaign first, and your logo second. So it's something that you can deliver that would excite people around what you're offering, and then keep it around so that your logo is always the second part. So it doesn't have to be plastered with your logo. It's more like, what experience are you delivering? Or what Instagrammable moment are you delivering? Are you sending out a unique gift? Are you sending out a promotional box? Are you having a live event? What are those Instagrammable moments that people are going to share on their story? So how can you add that surprise and delight to every customer touch point or every client touch point that you have? Or do you find a unique gift in the store that just speaks so authentically to your client you have to pick it up? Once I picked up just a $7 gift that was just beautiful and creative, and it said cat lady, and my client is just this contemporary cat lady, and she just rocks that, and now it still sits on her desk today. So how does that really be able to help you stay top of mind to your clients. Another idea, like one of my clients, their parents were, or their mom was dealing with driving for chemotherapy appointments. And how can you bring just a little touch of empathy and who you are as a person into that gift? And for that, I made sure to drop off a gas card so that they didn't have to worry about paying for gas for one of the trips down for their cancer appointment. And I just think that how can you show up, or how can you build into your budget of your brand of ways that you can show up that aren't just surprise and delight, but how can you show that you care and that you can help them out during stressful moments as well. And just really go beyond generic interactions, generic interactions with your client, but also generic interactions, with anybody really. Like, you never know who's going to turn into your client. I was going to a chiropractor for 7 years, and finally he's like, "Hey, what do you do posters?" And I was like, "Absolutely, I do posters." And that was just like the tip of the iceberg. We went on a whole brand campaign and brand strategy and built out a whole business around that. So you just never know who someday is going to turn into a client. Just like I mentioned about the friend with the heat-seeking missile. 3 years later, we're ready to launch this massive e-commerce store, and he's become a really good source of lead generation. So you never know what moments you're going to have that turn people into clients. So how can you deliver that brand experience and show up in big ways every day, and build those brand evangelists that are going to really just tell all of their friends about you and the work that you do. I think a good thing to remember is that good people recommend good people, right? So if you have a great client, they're going to recommend and have in their network other really great people. And referrals are the #1 way to grow your business. So how can you tailor your brand experience and deliver that brand experience for your clients? Strategy 5 is momentum. How can you grow from here? What's next? Define who you are so you can lead confidently and boldly into your business and grow your business. What can you add to your business that will take you to the next level? How can you make a difference in someone's life or your client's life? How can you grow a raving fan of your business? How can you continue to have follow-ups in meaningful ways so that you stay top of mind with your clients? And how can you, after tackling all of these strategies, be your authentic self and build your authentic brand in a big, big way? I think that'll be one of your greatest accomplishments, to watch your business grow, especially in a world right now with growing a business in a pandemic has its challenges in itself. So how can you take those meaningful steps now so that you're ready and prepared for the next step? So my key takeaways for you today are understanding and only speaking to your ideal client, infusing your personality into your brand, being cohesive and consistent, delivering a brand experience, and building momentum. So my one challenge for you today is, what is one of those things that you can do today, maybe even in this 5-minute break you have coming up? What is one thing that you can tackle today that helps you build an authentic brand, that delivers a strong brand experience, lets you stand out in a crowded market and grow your brand that is so on point that it's just authentically you? So that is what I have for you today for building an authentic brand. And I'm super excited for you to listen to the rest of the marketing lab today and take all of these great takeaways to grow your brand. And I know that we have some questions and answers coming up. So
Thank you so much, Katie.
yeah, thanks.
So anyone who has questions, for some reason our chat is not working, but there should be a questions section on the right side of your screen. So if you have a question, you can type it in there. We've got one right now, looks like, from Sheena. Any tips for how to quantify the size of your market once you hone into your target customer? Resources or web pages that can provide data for gender, age, etc. Also, is there a target customer that is too defined or limited, or too few people?
I think when you're going to find you're defined and too few people is when you're trying to broadcast or do like specific social media ads, I would say, is when it gets really tough in certain areas. But don't forget, there's the entire United States. Not every business, and some do, but not every business is tied regionally or locally. So how can you take that very specific market and niche down enough that you can be able to spread and grow more nationally? So if you're known for one very important thing, then you can charge, those premium prices and grow your market nationally. That was a large question. I know I only answered the last part of it, so I don't know if we want to break down. I don't have certain websites that I go to for building a target audience. All of the building the target audience and user journey and user scenario and personas, those are the kinds of questions that we ask, that we build and tailor it to our clients as we're helping them define their own target audience. So I would, as a brand strategist, that's just what we do in terms of services. So what are those kind of questions that you can do to help you define your market? Was there anything? I can't see the question, so I don't know. I know there was a middle chunk in there too, if you want me to speak to that as well.
Let's go to the next question. What if you have two target audiences?
Yeah, so on your website for target audiences, we want to make sure that people can easily navigate their user journey on your website. Like, they should be able to figure out the who, what, why, when in 60 seconds on your website, or you've lost them. So when you have two very specific defined target audiences, maybe it's students that you want to mentor, and maybe it's professionals, or maybe it's families, or if you're a photographer, they should be able to self-select where they're at in their website and speak to them. And then I think, I know what's coming up in somebody else's session too, but we are big proponents of building out a content calendar and making sure that you're diversifying your content across social media, especially an email, so that you're speaking to every target audience and not just one, or you're not going to gain your social media presence that you need.
What are some fun ways to show your personality in your brand?
Yeah, so for us, we specifically just sent out a New Year's box that I love. It was like celebrating the new year, like goodbye 2020, hello 2021. And for us, it was celebrating the moments that still happened in 2020, and we did a little jar of confetti that had some personalized Spark 27 gold confetti and a pop of color that we were encouraging our clients to throw that into the air whenever they can celebrate those small moments of joy. I think we've all been through a really tough 2020 and a tough pandemic, and it's not over yet, but how can we take those small moments of joy and really just spark that energy and remember to celebrate that? And so that jar of confetti paired with our Fueled by Bold Ideas notebook were things that I've jumped on countless client meetings, and I see or have been in person too, like their confetti jar is sitting at their computer. It's a good reminder. They're using their notebook in their meetings. I think it's just a fun way to be focused around an idea, and that's where what I was talking about, like having that idea first and the logo comes second. And any of these personality promotions, I think is just really crucial.